Souls games are often known for one of three things. One, their layered and mysterious lore, full of holes and unanswerable questions. Two, their worlds with historical strata and eons of life placed with carefully crafted precision to construct fully realized environments. And three, their NPCs, tragic, malicious, kind, or cruel, and of all shapes, creeds, and goals. This video pertains to the latter, and to one NPC in particular who, I believe, remains the single greatest silent NPC in the Soul series. An NPC who you never get to talk to, but whose impact has rippled through the community in both memes and serious fan art for years, for just his sheer, awe-inspiring might. His name? Black Iron Tarkus. And this is his story. When the chosen undead rings the bell of awakening in the Undead Parish, one of the first things you'll notice are the rising gates of Sen's fortress, which the patient NPC Sigmar of Katarina was previously napping perplexedly in front of. Sen's fortress is an ancient and trap-ridden labyrinth designed to test one's mettle before entering the illustrious city of the gods, Anor Londo. It is filled with serpent men, giants, and even a Titanite demon, but most importantly for this story, it houses one of three Baronike knights in the game, the other being a mini-boss in the Undead Parish, and the final one being in the painted world of Ariamis. These iron-enclosed behemoths were followers of a knight named Baronike, a name perhaps given to him retrospectively or as a symbol of honor, as it seems to also be the name of the land where these peoples come from. Regardless, when the curse of undeath came to them, these knights came to Lordran hoping to find salvation in Anor Londo, perhaps even hoping to end the undead curse by rekindling the first flame personally. Alas, their journey was for naught, and the knights went hollow, with most of them either falling or standing now as impressive obstacles for whatever unlucky undead wanders into their path. Their great swords, clearly modeled to look like Guts' sword and standing as one of the many famous Berserk references in the Soul series, reads, "One of the gigantic straight great swords. Very few have what it takes to wield this incredibly heavy damage-dealing monster. A favorite of the Knights Baronike, known for their heavy armor and black Iron Tarkus." Atop Sen's fortress, when the player at long last conquers the deathly boulders, bladed pendulums, and hordes of serpents shooting fire from within, and enters upon the rooftops of fire-throwing and boulder-dropping giants, they'll eventually come to the final obstacle blocking the chosen undead's path to Anor Londo. Imbued with a fragment of the soul of an ancient dragon, and at nearly 3 times the player's height, the Iron Golem towers above as the final test for all who wish to enter the fabled city. I always assumed this boss was a reference or at least a nod to Armored Core, considering the great soul dropped by them is the only one in the entire game not called a soul specifically, but is instead listed as a core, specifically the core of an Iron Golem. The Iron Golem is also quite difficult for first-time players due to their enormous size, the fact they can throw the player out of the arena with a grab attack, and the relatively small and precarious arena itself, making it difficult to dodge attacks, particularly the wind and the sweeping attacks the Golem likes to do. The Iron Golem's soul, or core, actually attests to this difficulty, stating, "A soul serving as the core of the Iron Golem, guardian of Sen's fortress, and slayer of countless heroes seeking Anor Londo." Yet there exists a hero, perhaps not of our own time, as the workings of time and the interweaving of different periods is a complicated theme throughout the trilogy, who has already defeated the Iron Golem and advanced to Anor Londo ahead of us. Further, their summon sign, which sits to the right of the Iron Golem fog door at the end of a walkway in a tower, allows players to bring them in for assistance. It is here where our hero enters the story, if only briefly. For when Black Iron Tarkus rises as a phantom, the player's victory is all but assured. Upon entering the fog gate, Black Iron Tarkus will prove why he is not only a knight of renown, but one of the greatest NPCs to enter the annals of Soul's history. Rushing boldly ahead, his unfathomably heavy black armor rattling and great sword poised to strike, Black Iron Tarkus positively bodies the Iron Golem, stuns him to a degree that is the stuff of legends. I cannot tell you how many memes I have seen, how many videos, or how many posts of appreciation exist for this undead Chad of a knight. The chosen undead can quite literally sit back and watch as this summon bullies the Iron Golem into submission, a feat he can do into multiple new game pluses. And as the Golem crumbles and his core drops to your inventory, Black Iron Tarkus disappears, presumably back to his own journey to salvation, his service rendered for nothing other than the glory of battle. But alas, this is Dark Souls, and his journey, like that of his knights, of course, ends in tragedy. Within Anor Londo, in a mostly empty church-like building filled with beings known as Painted Guardians, there rests a giant portrait. Players will recognize this as the entrance to the painted world of Ariamis, the prison of crossbreed Priscilla, and many other creatures whom the gods feared. But of course, we're not here to talk about the painting or Priscilla, yet it seems that perhaps Tarkus was in pursuit of it. For beside the painting rests his corpse, from which the player can acquire the Black Iron set, which is one of the lighter heavy armor sets and provides some of the best curse, physical, and flame resistance in the game, and is one of just 2 heavy sets that can be upgraded. The set's helm is also very likely a reference to Armored Core 3, the MHD-MM/003 headpiece, which sort of furthers the connection between Tarkus and the Iron Golem as Armored Core homages. It is impossible to say why for certain Tarkus, or should I say Baranike, as the resemblance between him and the legendary figure is undeniable, ended up dead beside the painting of Ariamis, but given that the final Baranike Knight is found within the painting itself, I believe I have a theory, which I'm not sure others share, but someone may have previously stated, I'm not sure. I think a lot of people jokingly say Tarkus fell from the rafters of the Painted Cathedral, but I really don't buy this, considering he managed, in his heavy armor no less, to make it through Sen's fortress unscathed. It seems to me at this point Tarkus was left with too few men to continue on with the journey to rekindle the flame, if he had planned to do that at all. Or perhaps he and his remaining retinue ran into the combined might of Ornstein and Smo and realized, like so many of us, that he was unable to go on. Perhaps he even battled with them and retreated, bleeding out as he fled to a nearby building to recover from his wounds with the last of his men. A building he heard housed a painting said to hold a world for lost souls, like those of his men trapped forever in undeath. It is my theory, again not holding ownership of it, but merely stating that for narrative purposes, that Tarkus led the last of his men to the room holding the painting, and there fell, defending their escape into it. It is why I believe the room is positively full of painted black guardians in such a spread out fashion. It seems to me that we, the player, enter the room, maybe shortly is the wrong term, but shortly after the time of Tarkus' death. His corpse is, after all shriveled and impossible to recognize, but perhaps he had died and time sort of caught up with him. He was wounded beyond comprehension and surrounded by those sworn to keep the painting and its contents secret. Perhaps the existence of the Baranike Knight within the painted world and their position on the final bridge to Priscilla herself proves that at least one of his men found solace and new purpose in that place of lost souls. Or perhaps, like the ones we fought before, that night too fell to their hollowing on their way to their inevitable banishment or death at the hands of the kind but deadly crossbreed. The truth, of course, is unknowable. But here ends our tale of Black Iron Tarkus, a knight of fearsome renown who battled and slew a golem, and perhaps fulfilled his broken promise to at least one of his knights, before succumbing to his wounds or his curse, as so many others do along the chosen undead's journey. Regardless of the truth, he remains one of my personal favorite NPCs in the entirety of the Souls lore, and I hope this little video highlighting him did him justice. Perhaps the next time you load up Dark Souls and find yourself atop Sen's fortress, you'll summon the legend Black Iron Tarkus and think of his bravery, as he absolutely rocks the life out of the Iron Golem and allows you, the player, to go on your merry way in one of Dark Souls' few guaranteed moments of respite. And, with the added caveat that he doesn't get, knocked off, because that can happen too. But that's it for this one. This is the first time I've ever attempted a Souls narrative like this. I was inspired by a friend of the channel and fellow YouTuber Haslam, who I recommend checking out if you like this sort of narrative style. It's not nearly as beautifully rendered as his are, but maybe in the future when I'm, not doing this on a whim, mine will be a little better. You'll have to let me know how you felt about my rendition in any case. I tried to use a mix of my own footage from a playthrough I did not that long ago, which seems to have turned out okay, and fan art, official images I found. I hope I did an okay job. Let me know. If you like this sort of content, then consider leaving a like, comment, and subscribing, as it lets me and YouTube know that you do like this sort of content and you'd like to see more of it. If you're familiar with my channel and you would like to support me further, then consider becoming a channel member. I have 2 different tiers, and you can see them in the Join tab, and here are our members here. Thank you guys so much for your support. It's always appreciated. And that's going to be it for me. I'm Soul. This has been the story of Black Iron Tarkus, the best silent NPC in Souls history, and I will happily see you in the next one.